Well, we've had a bit of dry after being real wet for a while. Springtime is definitely on. Our little point here has matured nicely for being really low to no soil and dirt. You get all kinds of stuff growing up in here. And then even on the other side of the road, I got some beautiful Tahitian chestnuts going that are going to end up taking over all of this guava. And of course these mangoes will all come down someday, maybe some of them this summer. And I've got a whole bunch of yam up in pots on trellises up there. Aerial yams, really good, like little new potatoes. Well, I have to get another load of gravel this summer. The earthworms bring a lot of dirt up through when it's wet. And I got a big load of roofing tiles for a few $100. But it took me 3 trips to get over, and I think it kind of hurt my truck a little bit. But I don't know what I'm going to do with them yet, but I couldn't pass them up. $300 for those things. All the bananas are doing great. Tons of keikis are coming up from a lot of these girls. Keikis are babies, in case you don't know. My cardamom is doing amazing. A lot of these big bushy ginger-like plants are cardamom, and they're already 6-7 feet long fronds, and I'm just getting flower spathes. These had some little orchids on them yesterday. They're not all flowering yet, but most of these are starting. Let's see, this one's still got a flower on it. There we go. Little cardamom flowers. And when they set, I'm lucky, I'm getting my first little cardamom ball right there on the tip. And these can branch out and keep making more. But yeah, this is an amazing cluster. The cardamom really likes it here. Baby banana and a bicolor cacao are coming up. Had to move all my pots down into my little taro patch rows. The pigs came in and wrecked on them, ate a lot of taro and messed it all up. But I got to get my plants out of the sunlight for summertime. They're already getting so hot. Not fun hot, like too hot. You got a siesta in the middle of the day. And the bees are doing pretty good. I got to get in and check the girls and see if they had a queen or not. I'm still not sure. All my little baby miracle berries. This miracle berry, you eat the berry and you can eat a lemon and it tastes like it's been dipped in sugar. And I got all my sweet potatoes I'm doing in bins, so that and you do it about half full, and then as they grow a whole bunch, you wind it all up in there and throw more dirt on top, and you kind of keep pancaking like that. See, I just put some new dirt on top of that, probably for the last time. And there's some younger sweet potatoes I'm doing in a similar fashion, and I just threw some new dirt on top of them. And I've been putting some of my yams in pots to try and make it easier to get to their base tuber. But this bulbiferous yam also makes aerials, so you get the best of both worlds. And I've got this one pepper going right now that is the closest to a bell pepper I've had out of any of the sweet peppers yet that grow decent in Hawaii. So I'm really excited about that kind. And my little balimbi trees, these put out a little sour gooseberry that people like to pickle. But these came from West Side Tree, from seed. They're looking really good. Let's see. Yeah, here's how I potted my yams up here, my aerial yams. I just got them on the side of the hill in maybe 3-gallon pots on average. When I dug up the tuber, it wasn't taking up much more space than that. So I figured, well, I'll give them a try. The dirt up here is pretty crummy, so if I can get a good return on these, I'll be really stoked. And this is kind of land I wasn't using. It's pretty steep in here. It's like a 40-degree pitch, so it's not too fun to be trying to do anything on, and it's all just rough red dirt, no real topsoil to it. It's rotten rock. But here's one of the my first tuber on these plants. Look at that big beautiful potato. That thing's, and it's not even done. It's still green. This will turn kind of a brown lavender color. Oh, and there's another little one starting right there. So cute. I gotta come and train the vines to run down and start creeping all over the place. And here's a little patch. It doesn't look like much, but this is called vetiver. This grass right here. And the roots of this grass smell incredible. Very valuable perfume making grass. But these are just little starts getting going, and they will become big clumps. This whole zone here will become one big clump of vetiver, and then I can split that up and make a whole bunch happen. Let's see, this is our ice cream bean from seed, and this is a green waste, a nitrogen fixer, and a visual privacy blocker. This is going to get butchered. These guys are going to get butchered. I got this one here and one just down below, and they're meant to get real big, real fast, and kind of groom them into the shapes I want. This is a variety of Grama Chama. I got another one down over there. Kind of make like a big blueberry and make really good hedges. This is all lima bean, climbing all up through here. Black lima, incredible plant. And it just cranks, and they're really good beans to eat. I mean, they're pleasant. They're a nice, quick cooking bean. And then we got this little chili pepper, looking pretty good. I know I got to pick some of these, either pickle them or dry them out. They're drying on their own. These buggers are hot. I learned that there was 4 different groups of chili, I believe. And so this isn't like your regular chili group. It's kind of a part of a subgroup. And I like to just pop them like pills, because then you don't get any hot and you get all that capsicum in your gut. Anyway, I wasn't able to keep up with my katuks here, but as you can see, they are really seeding like mad. These are delicious when they're young, but once they get past a certain stage, they get like, you know, they turn into seed and they get very crunchy and not pleasant. But the doves love them. Yeah, so here's some. That's some of the seeds. They're like little half moons. And the doves have been landing in these plants and picking these seeds off. You love them. And then another thing you can eat, of course, just the leaves in general, but the new growth tips, like the tender new growth, they're just fun to eat when you're wandering around the garden. And you want to eat them because these things get a little leggy. And all of these grow. I'm going to have them coming up all over the place like they are already. These are all katuk babies coming up. It really likes it here too. That's a big lesson in what we're experiencing here, is what wants to grow when it's in these conditions and what doesn't. You know, I really thought my vanilla was going to be a sure thing, and I've had the worst time with it ever. I'll show you that in a moment, but here's one of my star fruit, and it's just putting some flowers out, so you might even have fruit by the end of summer. Once these things start cranking, sometimes you can get fruit all year long. That's supposed to be kind of a dwarf variety. Oh, here's a neat one too. It's doing okay, not as good as I thought it would do, but this stuff is called chat. Ethiopian chat, Q-H-A-T, chat. And yeah, you know, DEA, if you're watching my videos for some stupid reason, I know it's illegal, and I didn't think it was a big deal, and I haven't even used it yet. So, but whatever, I like having it, it's cool. Got it from a friend. I had to pay a few bucks for it, but I've always known about this thing, and I've never, this is pretty much the first time I ever got a chance to even buy one. And if you're curious what it does, you can look it up. I'm not going to talk about it. This is patchouli. Patchouli's turned out to be one of the really good ground covers I've got going on. Of course, it's just a wonderful smell. You just rub the leaves in your hand barely. You don't have to bruise the plant, and it smells. But we use coleus, which is this group, a lot to do what we're doing as far as green mulching and just providing shade for the ground. But and they're beautiful, but you know, you don't eat these, and there isn't any other use in a lot of ways but green waste. But the patchouli, that stuff's awesome. So I was decided so I wouldn't lose my chives that I had to, these are all garlic chive, and this is society garlic here. I have a non-variegated hiding around here somewhere. But that's the problem, they started getting lost in everything. And the chives tend to be able to take really dry, dense soil, clay-like soils, and actually kind of thrive in that condition. So I figured, well, fuck it, we'll put them in a bucket and see if I can't avoid losing them next time around. Bananas, new bananas are doing just great. I think this is an Eholena. See, you got red sheen underneath, because they can look a little Maoli-like when they get that beautiful pink in with the yellows. Although, obviously, the Eholenas tend to be much more yellow overall than Maolis, or really the rest of the banana group, unless you're dealing with malnourishment. Our breadfruit up here is doing great, and the Sacha Inchi is taking off. This little ulu here was a little ulu in a pot not long ago. It's a root cutting of mine from an ag forest, one I was able to just pop out in a minute or two. Doing great now. It should be like a Ma'afala or Otea, you know, one of the Diane Rangoon banana starts, I'm pretty sure. And then this is Sacha Inchi, or Peruvian peanut, as the nickname is, and these little flowers hold the potential of making these awesome star-shaped fruit, or seed pods, might be a better way to describe them. And I don't know if I have any yet to show. And you see, they really stand out when there is one there. But, oh, there's a little baby one starting right on that pod right here. You can just, the stamen's still attached to it. That's trippy. I don't think I've ever seen it quite at that stage. That's fun. And then my Lahala, I got these Halas from the west side. It's supposed to be one of the original Hawaiian varieties. It's a big clumper, and like puts out nice walking legs. Beautiful tree, really, and decent fronds for craft. But these starts, this one and my other one over there, have both gone albino for the moment. And they do seem to have some variegated new heads coming out of the inside, but you know, that is full cream. Isn't that trippy? I've never even seen that really. And then my what is this called? Banisteriopsis vine is starting to run through, and it's got all of that to go up. So this girl's going to get big, I can tell you that. And my other associated vine over here is my lilikoi. Oh, my cinnamon here is doing really good. This little guy, look at that. Whoa, it's shooting, putting multiple branches out. That's Cinnamon verum. That's the real deal cinnamon. And it can get to be quite a big tree, but obviously at a certain point you keep trimming them and harvesting the bark. And so this is all lilikoi vine hanging over rope lava. And I'm getting fruit this year. This thing's not even a year old. I get fruit all over it. And these should be the red lilikoi, not the purple, not the commons. They're kind of like a hybrid in between. Really nice rose red skin. They're not quite as tart as the commons, but they still have that common flavor. And my cut nuts, oh, I got them everywhere. I must have 30 of these things up here on the hill. They're just a beautiful plant, and they make what I consider to be a very pleasant almond-like nut. See, I got them everywhere. They're just, this whole hillside is going to be dotted in chestnut. Or not Tahitian chestnut, I'm sorry, cut nut. And my my bay leaf start, I believe it's just an air layer. Not as healthy as they could be. Nope. Dog just about destroyed it, but luckily I was here. The cardamom up here, this is from seed. This guy, can't believe it, reared it from seed. So that's why I'm really encouraged, and I got seed now coming on my nursery plants. And this is coca. I'm probably not supposed to have this either, but, and its seeding is cool little red berries. Every one of them go. But I like these because they're really good shade bush. You can really make a hedge out of these things, and they're very indiscriminate. Most people wouldn't even know what they are, you know. And yeah, it's just fun. But these are my vanilla rose. Really worked hard on these. Got 3 nice stepped rows, almost 120 feet each row. Had 75 plus vanillas across this. I probably got about 10 now. They did not like it. They went through dry times, but worst of all, ants. I got a terrible artesian ant problem. It kind of came with denuding the property of all the trees. So they lost the tree source and they started consuming my stuff instead. So another beautiful coca. Although I got a dead branch, probably a boring beetle or something. Guess you could chew that, you know, or make tea. You know, Peruvians use that stuff all the time for stomach ailments and stuff like that. We got betel palm, although the ants look like they're farming scales on it. But yeah, a nice betel palm coming up for shade. Very important to have shade. Try and capture some of that back. And I got my wonderful native banana collection up here. These are Maolis. So you see that pink on the inside, but you do not get the bronze underneath. And these are more of a true plantain. You know, these are going to make a nice eating banana, a cooking banana, I should say, not just eating. Of course you eat them, but cooked, they're par excellent. This is yerba mate. My mate starts are really starting to grow this year. They kind of languid a little bit, suffered through the drought and whatnot. This will turn into a nice bush. Once again, something you can hedge, and it will end up being a nice, you know, shade addition to this that I can move through and groom. And these are those, this is that one, I'm forgetting the name right off the bat. I think it starts with a P, that's related to lychee, except they're big, kind of rubbery pods. I didn't like them as much, but the tree was not overwhelming. You know, some trees are very dense in their foliage and some let a lot of light through. So that kind of sets a lot of light through. This is all pigeon pea, once again for shade, but also for food. Pigeon pea is really overlooked. It's an easy one to grow, and the peas are amazing. They're just great little, almost like mung bean, you might say. Oh, I got to take some dead leaves off of this beauty. A couple of more Maolis. Probably came out of our watershed and off the coast. More yerba mates coming out. And see, my vanilla, not as happy. The ones that are still here, they're just not as happy. The ants get into all the crooks and pockets on the inside, and anywhere that the leaf is hidden, and they just butcher it. It's terrible. Fill it full of scales, and then the plant just loses what energy it could get. This came from seed. This is a large calabash, and like this is like, you know, how would I say, maybe up to volleyball size calabash, like big calabashes. There's a trippy little short tree, maybe 12 feet tall, and just produces. But this is just from one of those seeds in like less than a year. Well, about a year now. And this is the fe'e, one of our rare fe'e, which is probably going to fruit soon. I'm expecting, because I have a couple of eholenas over here that are just throwing their first flowers. Look at that. That's maybe a week out. Like a week ago we noticed that started to come out. And so look at that big bud. Like there isn't even a female banana showing yet. That massive bud. That's probably like 14, 16 inches long. Oh, and my cardamom up here has got a lot of flower going on. There we go. Nice little flower clusters all over the place. Not as many set seeds yet, I don't see, but I think they'll make multiple flowers down each stalk. I understand that's how it's supposed to work. But they're real healthy, they're liking it, that's what's important. And then I grow a lot of canna. I've been doing the canna lilies because they have starchy tubers, which you can pull a very great food starch from as an emergency plant more than anything. This is your common eating ginger. Just a whole little cluster down here. You can see some of the exposed tubers. They like sitting pretty much just in the ground. And yeah, they're just coming up for this season, and they'll flower and die back. And that's usually when I take them, or just when they begin flowering, because you get some cool new growth. This is Maprang mango. They're not doing great. They're just starting to throw some new growth out, but they're kind of like a plum mango. And this is my dwarf Cuban red. Really beautiful banana. Shouldn't get much bigger than this. I expect a rack out of this any day. Big rack of bananas too. Ridiculous racks, like enormous. And then this is all jujube, the Chinese date. And I grew all these from seed. I've got 2 different kinds, and one did not do well at all. And then but these did just great. So I think they're gonna do fine. Problem is, and I read this, but they're spiky. They got spikes all over them, man. These things are gnarly. But jujubes are cool. It'd be kind of cool to have them. I'll stick them someplace, try and keep the pigs from coming through. And then this guy, most people would know, this is Malabar chestnut. Some people call them money trees because you see them woven together as a keepsake that you could buy in like Chinese food stores and stuff. But these end up not only making really good shade, you can butcher them and they'll regrow. And if they're old enough, the pieces you took off, you can replant again and they'll grow. So it's a very manipulatable tree. Puts out these big pods that drop a nut that is excellent and said to be one of the better nut milks if you make a nut milk from it. All right, here's the other big bud. Look at that bugger. They're so huge. They got 2 ejolenas going right now. And it makes sense. The ejolenas kind of go earlier than maolis. And it's only 90 days from flower emergence to ripe fruit. You see that copper on that young spathe, or leaf blade. That's a big identifier for the Hawaiian ejolenas, that red copper underleaf. And these are all breadfruit starts, all from root, kind of like the big one I showed a little earlier. But these are just, maybe not even a year old. Got almost 20 of them here. I don't even know what I'm going to do with them all. But I know wherever I stick them, they're going to do great. And then I just planted a bunch of my Suriname cherries. These are the little ones left over and get kind of bigger. These are petali starts. The petali becomes enormous. It's an autocarpus. And of course, these will probably go out in the watershed or at parks and stuff. I don't want them. I don't want them here on my property. They'd take up the whole damn place. This is kratom. For people who know about kratom, we really had a hard time with the ants at first, but then over the last 6 months or so, it just bolted. And I got these true syzygium. That's the America plum. So it's kind of like Java plums, or everything about it's like Java plum-like until you get to the fruit, and then they're like big and actually edible, pleasant fruit to eat. Now these are my nutmeg. Nutmegs are kind of hard to get going, and they're very finicky, and they die really easy. So I got them in these tree pots so that they can get wicked big. I want them as big as that kratom there before I even think about putting them in the ground. Because I transferred one that was about this size, and after about 4 months it browned out and died. And I just can't afford that because they're too rare. And then this is a clove, also from seed. And it lingered for a bit, but now it's just starting to bolt. Look at that beautiful pink new growth. And cloves can be ready within a few years. So, I got my fingers crossed. And these guys are called Inkala. They put out a strange little avocado, pink avocado-ish kind of fruit. But they describe it as buttermilky, and that turned me on. You got white sapote, some more cinnamon, sour sops, mammy sapote, and these little things, I can't remember the name of them. I got it on there. That is gualiote. Yeah. And they're supposed to they become a little tree that put out a fruit that's supposed to be similar to sugarcane juice. So I thought, well, sweet stuff's important. You turn that into wine and vinegar and alcohol and whatnot, so good to have. This is another type of little plum, like I think it's a blueberry tree, like not actual blueberry group. They just put like a big grape out, blue grape or something like that. Not even sure half the time. I just know they're going to stay small And I don't want them getting big in this zone. I want a multi-layer canopy and where everybody's working together. These are a weird one. These are called God's Crown. I started these from seed, and they're poisonous, little bush, but they use it in Ayurvedic medicine, and they claim that it's a cure-all. So yeah, one of those kind of things. Cacao. And I do have my aerial yams are coming back in their original spot, but the sweet potato is just mobbed over this stump. And this is a nice Maoli from a little tiny hand-sized pup. It was about the size of my hand. That's it. And like not even half a year. Whoa. And it's got babies that are bigger than what I brought back. Unreal. And some more of that canna. Oh, and we planted our durians. Here's one of them. I mean, I didn't plant all of them. We just planted some of the best responding. Yeah, durians. Gotta love them. Gonna really enjoy having those here. And I got some petali and seeded breadfruit I'm gonna take up in the woods and plant. And a lot of the cacaos are already dividing again. And this is my best cut nut. This is my oldest one. This thing's about 4 feet tall now. Leaves are really starting to show. Isn't that beautiful? And they have these big kahili flowers on them. It's just beautiful. And that little pepper again, one of my other bush. And now here's an example too. See, I got 3 cacaos here on this line. That one and then the one over there fruiting red right now. Or not fruiting, but flushing. And they're not doing great because they were in pots. As were the ones that we just seeded directly in the ground. They're already 5 feet tall. Look at this thing. New growth on it. Actually, it's 6 feet tall. It's unreal, right? So go straight in the ground if you have any option. And more canna, lily. You see, here's one of my durians in pot still. And the little edible cactuses. And this is our Theobroma bicolors. We've got a number of these going here right now, but look at the size of these leaves. It's just nuts. It's such a beautiful tree. And these leaves will shrink a bunch. Once it gets bigger, they're going to shrink down to maybe something this size on average more. But we got them in with the chocolate. We got a ton of chocolates through this whole section. I think it's like 22 of them. And it's all Theobroma bicolor and Theobroma cacao. But the bicolor fetches so much more. You get up to $60 a pod for those. And we're in the process of cleaning up our zone and switching our water tanks around to this side. But to make the space, as you can see, there's no space. And we're on a big slant that we're digging it out. Well, honestly, Autumn's digging it out. I'm moving the dirt for the most part. But we're kind of fighting the rain, which is just starting to come on a little bit right now. And we got all of our nursery plants. And yeah, right on the edge of the lot. And then we're moving all the dirt around the corner and out to this section right on the edge of the property where we're leveling stuff out. And one side of this side over here is all logs. So the dirt is going to sink and everything's going to decompose and do its thing. But this is going to be our little hugelkultur patch. Because it's going to, I mean, this is deep in logs. Like 2 feet deep, 3 feet deep at the end maybe in logs. And then we're going to even that out. And on that section we could put a pavilion and have those water tanks moved around to the back and start getting our deck system around this thing so we can be outside but off the ground. And here's our super rare Fe'e. Again, I got about 10 of these on the lot. Usually with Fe'e, they're known to not put up many suckers or babies, keikis. And this one, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 coming up. And this thing hasn't even flowered yet. So this thing is really happy, but it probably has a lot to do with that, all the logs and the hugelkultur and all the chips we've had down. And you know, I think attention and love. I really think the native bananas know when you're tending them and respond to that. You know, bananas like humans. I really think so. And they give themselves for us just like coconuts, and we should respect that. And I think the more you pay attention to them and love them and take care of them and just, you know, smile when you see them because they're so beautiful and you're happy to have them there, that they know it and they respond for you. And I'm getting a really great response. I mean, look at this jungle. Look at this jungle here. And this was nothing. This was nothing but Coster's curse and guavas. So yeah, things are doing all right. We're trying our first bagged potato experiment down here. Sometimes potatoes get fusarium wilt here, and like this one's already suffering from some kind of rust that's coming out on the new growth. But hey, you know, we'll give it a shot again. So one of the variety of potatoes has got to work. And then I got these new lilikoi from a friend of mine who just brought them back from, well, off island. I don't think we have this one here normally. I'm not even sure what they look like, but I'm going to give them a shot anyway. Yep, and then we're going to be making, I think, a walkway through there as all of this starts to build up. And all my albizia steps, well, they're rotting. I knew they would, but I plan on replacing them with something a little more burly. But they've done their job. They've done their job for us. And we moved a bunch of the nursery plants into the shade down here because we had to. Well, I think that about wraps it up. You guys are kind of seeing what's going on. Hope you're having a good time wherever you're at, and aloha.